Hello and welcome to the Slumbering Sloth Book Nook, a podcast about all things books, publishing and more. My name is Emma and today my guest is Sophie Eminson. Sophie is a marketing assistant at Springer Nature and a communications officer at the Society of Young Publishers. Now on with the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, good. Busy.
Oh, we never busy, it's always so busy. So, first things first, can you tell us a bit about your role at your current job?
Yeah, so I'm currently a marketing assistant at Springer Nature, and I focus on the marketing for one scientific journal called Scientific Reports, which is currently the second biggest journal in the world. It spans pretty much all areas of science, and I basically do all of the marketing for all of our sort of research collections. So this could literally range from geoscience to paleontology to cell biology, and I'm doing that multiple things in a day, and I pretty much do social media, Google Ads, emails, and that kind of thing on a day-to-day basis.
That's really awesome. The fact you get to work on such a diverse range of sciences is really interesting. Would you say that you've kind of learnt a bit about different things, or you still got no clue like me when it comes to science?
Well, I still have absolutely no clue how to read the articles. There's words in there I will never understand, and that's okay. But there's a lot of sort of news and press outlets and things like that will cover the articles, especially if they've made an impact, which they often do. So then I'll learn more from them because they kind of dumb it down. So I'll read that and then be able to tweet it and be able to talk about it a lot easier. But I recently went to the European Geophysics annual general meeting in Vienna, which was really fun. And yeah, I got to learn a lot about sort of geophysics and the way that things are working at the moment with kind of sustainable water and like things going on with climate change and the earth and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it can be very educational.
Yes, it sounds very educational. So, I wouldn't have a clue what I did a marine science module. I literally had no idea. I was like, I don't understand any of this stuff. Okay, cool. So how did you start your publishing journey?
So I started in a bit of a strange way because basically I always wanted to do an English degree. I told my mum when I was about 6 years old that I was going to move to London and study English at university. I did those things kind of separately from each other, but I achieved both. So 6-year-old me is proud. But I basically went to Loughborough University to study publishing in English, and I didn't even know publishing was a thing until I read the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy.
Oh wow, that's quite in a different way, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was like 14, 15. I was doing like work experience at a newspaper, and they were talking about it, and I was like, oh, what is this? And they wouldn't really tell me because of my age. So then I just went out and bought them, and then read them all in like 2 days because they were just like easy reads, and then was like, oh, editors, these are a thing. I can work with books. Like that was a brand new thing to me at that age. And so then I kind of just dedicated myself to, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I went to university and studied publishing in English at Loughborough, but there weren't really many connections to the actual companies and stuff. Like they only had certain university press connections, so I kind of had to start looking myself, and I quickly realized that I couldn't really afford to do internships or work experience because it was all pretty much London based, and even with the pay and stuff, like I didn't really have anybody living there that I could stay with, and I didn't have any friends in London at the time, so I just had to literally wait until I finished university and moved to London and get a job. So my first job was luckily in like magazine publishing. So I went to work for the Mark Allen Group, which is like a small magazine and journal publisher in Brixton. And I started with them on their grad scheme. But but I quickly realised that the role that I had been put in was more journalism, which I'd kind of already ruled out from work experience. So I quickly started looking elsewhere and started going to Society of Young Publishers events. Met a friend. She was like, oh, there's a role open in my team. So I applied for it and luckily got it. And yeah, I've been at Spring and Nature for like a year now.
That's really awesome. I think it just shows you how many twists and turns you take in your journey, doesn't it, when you're discovering new career paths?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if like the information isn't given to you, it's not always as simple just to kind of go out and get it, as a lot of people try to tell you to do. Like if you don't know it's there, then it's pretty difficult. But as soon as you know it's there, like take advantage.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't even know about, well, I knew about publishing, but I didn't know I wanted to start working it until about 2 years ago. And I think it was with the Penguin placement that I sort of got into it. But even you just have to research it all yourself, I think. The information isn't always available to you. I think Twitter was quite a big help in that, learning more about the industry, and then I got to read more.
Yes.
But I don't know if you felt the same way when you were sort of learning about the industry whilst you're at university.
Well, again, I think that my course was maybe a little outdated, so they didn't focus too much on Twitter. Like we learned a lot about the industry, we learned about different departments and things, which was very good to know, but it was quite generic. There was, we learned some basic copy editing skills, how to do like a marketing presentation for a book, did book cover design and stuff like that. So it was a really broad range of skills, but then at the end of it, I didn't know where to go to apply them or how to do it. And I can't really remember. It might have been at a London Book Fair. I went in my final year of university and they were talking, the how to get into publishing talk that they always do. And I think it was Helen Harradine from Inspired Selection. I met her and she was just like, yeah, just be really active on Twitter. And she was a brilliant inspiration to me because she just gave me so much advice and on that day and, encouraged me to just go for it. And so I just started building a Twitter profile. But yeah, Twitter has been huge, but I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't have gone to London Book Fair.
No, London Book Fair is an amazing experience. I think for any publishing student, they should definitely try and go at least once.
Especially because it's free.
Yeah, totally. It's totally, another reason to go. Yeah, awesome. So I did a little bit of online research. I don't know if it counts as stalking. I'm not sure, does it? I don't know. But I'm currently, so you're currently with the SYP, is that right? You're doing work with the SYP. So you're a communications officer, is that right?
Yeah, so I joined the SYP London committee in January. So just started in 2019. It's my first year on committee. And I joined as communications officer. So I basically send out like the monthly newsletters, create social media graphics, and then work with the social media manager to help with like the posting on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and things. And we also do like sort of live streaming of events and try and promote events everywhere and anywhere. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, it's really good. I would say that I've chosen a very one of the least demanding roles, which is good. I sort of, I get the time to spend designing the email and designing the sort of graphics and things that we use. So I enjoy that, being able to sit back and do that kind of thing. And, I'm putting the events live on the website and I've got quite a lot of experience with WordPress. So that makes it really easy. And yeah, it's just a really fun group of people and like some of my best friends in London, like I met through the SYP. So I would 100% encourage everybody to join, come to events, try and get on the committee next year. Like it's a really, really good group of people.
Everybody's lovely at the conferences, aren't they? They're just everyone's so friendly, so lovely. And yeah, the pub last year was quite fun after the conference. I think everyone just sort of unwinds a bit more when there's a bigger group of you, because I've been to events on my own before and you're like, this is so overwhelming, I don't know what to do. Yeah. But luckily I've been with a couple of friends, but I think it's because everyone's in the same boat and everybody is just very talkative. I find that.
Yeah, definitely. My favourite thing about it is just basically making those connections with people that you wouldn't have made otherwise, and being able to just talk about books. Like, I think the main thing, a main piece of advice going into any sort of networking event in publishing is don't just go in expecting people to give you information on how to get a job. Go in with ideas and information in your head and books that you've read that you can talk about, because people aren't just going to want to stand around and talk about job hunting. We do a lot of that. So it's nice to be able to talk to people about their current reads and seeing, what they've read recently and you've read, and getting recommendations and stuff. So yeah, just go in with a bit of an awareness of the industry and books that you like and stuff, and then you'll be able to make the connections a lot easier, which will then lead to like friendships and mentorships that'll help you down the line.
Exactly, and that's great to hear. So going back to your role in scientific publishing as a Springer Nature, what do you think the key differences between academic publishing and trade? I know you said you did work within scientific, but do you think what the kind of key differences would be from your perspective?
Yeah, so, well, luckily, I can answer this question because I've had a mentor through the SYP Ahead mentorship scheme. Yeah, so I've been working with Felice McEwen from Bonnier Zafre, who's like head of digital marketing there, I think, and she has just taught me so much. And I think the key things are that, your audience is completely different in trade to academic, and the things that I'm doing now are always going to be to the research community, and it's not necessarily just about, getting them to read the research. It's also about getting them to submit and things, whereas marketing and trade publishing is all about just selling the book. So I think that is where the two worlds kind of separate, because I know from everything that I've been told from people who work in marketing and book publishing that they do an entire campaign for a book, and it's often got lower budgets, and it's a short time period, whereas our campaigns are running for an entire year, for example, to be able to get constant submissions and things. So yeah, I would say that that's probably the biggest difference in marketing for book and academic. But everybody's still really nice in both industries. So.
Yes, that's very good. That's very good to hear. That's awesome. So in terms of marketing, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to sort of begin a career in academic publishing or science-based publishing specifically? I'm asking because obviously I've spoken to people before who work in trade, but it'd be quite interesting to see if someone wants to specifically go into academic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say you don't need to have any scientific background. Pretty much all of my team and everybody within the research marketing division at Springer, we don't have many people who have scientific backgrounds, but just have a passion for it and kind of understand which areas you like. So there's a few different areas which come into it, and that includes open access, which is when the authors are paying to get their articles published with you, but then it's freely accessible to everybody in the community. And that was something that I was really passionate about, because especially at university when I couldn't find things and stuff, I would get frustrated with only being able to read a chapter or only a couple of pages. And I was like, as a student, at least this all should be free. So I got very passionate about that. So I think that finding the area that you really like, whether it's an area of science or whether it's something within the academic industry, there's loads of things that you can research, things like open access. Plan S is huge right now, not that I fully understand it, but it's, just basically research and know what's going on. It's the same as within book publishing. Just have that awareness of things that are happening now and have a bit of an opinion on it. Not so strong that they think, oh no, we don't want to work with you because you might not agree with certain things, but be able to state like, I support open access because X, and be able to have that opinion, because that will take you a lot further.
Of course, yeah. I mean, open access has been huge. I know it's probably big in all universities, but in my university I've definitely seen a shift that they want more of the staff to do their research and use open access journals. And it has been quite challenging to try and get some people who are sort of very sort of traditional, that they don't want to have open access. Do you find that a lot as well?
Yeah, so especially from the conference that I was at the other week, it's very evident that some people, very much support open access, and then some people don't. And I'm on the fence about it becoming fully open access, because there's all these junior researchers and PhD students and people who need to get their foot in the door and be able to get that first article published, who, don't necessarily have the money to be able to pay to get their article published. So, they'll go in through the subscription-based model where they freely publish, and then universities and researchers will pay to read it. So I still support both sides of the argument, but at the same time, I can see it from both sides. It's really difficult to be able to say, it should all be open access or it should all be subscription based. And you can't really put a line in the middle and say, oh, only researchers of this level should publish open access and only researchers of this level should do subscription model, because that will alienate people. So at the moment, I think it's just a personal choice from the researcher's point of view, to be honest. And I find a lot of them are trying to move towards open access where they can.
Yeah, of course. It's such a big issue at the moment everywhere, I think. I've just sort of seen it. I was speaking to somebody in the uni library who deals with the journals, and they said they've had quite a few sort of different things going on with that. So it's quite a big thing. I didn't realise how big it was. Yeah. in terms of the scientific journal, like, publishing side of it. So it's quite interesting to learn about. So here's the biggest question that people normally trip upon for the last one. So, what book have you read recently or reading that you'd like to recommend at the moment? This is normally a tough one.
So many books. There are so many books. But I would say that if there was one specific one, I would probably recommend Anatomy of a Scandal by Sarah Vaughan. It's published by Simon & Schuster last year, and it's out in paperback now. It's just really an amazing courtroom drama which focuses on rape culture, and the ways that universities dismiss it and how it can affect people later in life and stuff. And I think that it's told so poignantly that, you're not it's not so shocking and it's not disturbing, but you get the essence of what's going on. You understand the seriousness of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely Anatomy of a Scandal.
That's really awesome. Thank you for your recommendation. Is there anything else like you want to read so far? You just like seen it and you're like, oh, I must read it.
Well, I've got a huge TBR because
yeah, haven't we all?
Well, with my book blog, I get sent a lot of stuff which always looks amazing, and I have to prioritize things and push things back, which kind of sucks. But I've got a few that I really want to read. I mean, one of them is XX by Angela Chadwick. Yeah. I got it for Christmas from my mum, and I really want to read it. Two women being able to like have a child and stuff using their chromosomes in a sort of dystopian kind of fantasy type way. I'm not entirely sure.
Until you read it, you're like, oh.
It's along those lines. Yeah. And it sounds really, really good and progressive and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But I have a million book recommendations on my blog.
I'll definitely direct people there if they're like, I don't know what to read next. I mean, if you're a book lover, you should definitely always have a book on the go. That's my effort. I mean, I've started reading. I went to the library the other day for the first time in ages. I'm like, oh, I did something that I wanted to do, and I picked up Jodie Picoult. I think it's Great Small Things, and I'm just started reading. I'm like hooked already. It's a massive book, so I don't know how I'm going to get around to it, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I'm reading David Jackson's latest one, which is out in a couple weeks' time. So it's called Your Deepest Fear. And I really, really liked his previous one in his DI Nathan Cody series, which is basically, the last one was called Don't Make a Sound, and it is really hard hitting. It is quite gruesome. but it's a really fast-paced thriller, lots of short chapters, brilliant writing.
Awesome. That sounds really great. Thank you for your recommendations. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. It was lovely to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's been really nice to talk to you.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. You can follow Sophie on Twitter at PolSophie. And if you'd like to get involved with the podcast, you can get in touch through Twitter at NovelM16 and use the hashtag Slothcast, or you can send me an email at slumberyslothbooknook@gmail.com. You can always find the podcast on our YouTube channel, Slumbery Sloth Book Nook, or you can download it from Podbean for an on-the-go experience. See you next week. Bye!